been scarred and I've been bruised. I have learned just what to do. I need to leave my past behind me. I need to look to the future. No matter what will come, no matter what I've done, I know just what to do. And that's all because of you.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome. A warm welcome if you are new, and welcome back if you've been around. A hello to you if you're just popping by and passing by. My name is Z Mavumengwana, and this is You Okay, a mental health and personal development channel that seeks to journey with you back to your place of being okay. It's a Tuesday and we're back with another one. I've got Tingo here, which is suggestive of the depth of the content we're going to be discussing today. So if you need to be alone, if you need to postpone it for later, do exactly that. As you can tell on the screen, we are doing paternal abandonment to paternal rejection today. And I suppose the aspect of fatherhood being decisional and what happens when the father did not make that choice. So yes, for people that personally relate, I hope this does something therapeutic to you. If you are the dad that has decided to not play an active part, you don't have to walk out. Perhaps this can orientate you to the implications of that decision, and we see if we can attempt repair. Welcome. I can never tire of thanking you guys for the support that you've shown me, for the deliberate attempts to grow the channel alongside me. I really appreciate it. I'm not very social media. What's the word? I'm learning that word that I cannot find. I'm not very that, so I'm hardly on social media. It is something that I'm attempting to navigate because of the channel. So please do be patient with stuff that you are expecting of me that I'm not delivering on. I'm learning the ropes, I'm learning the etiquette, I'm learning the culture, I'm figuring out the boundaries, and eventually we'll figure it out. But thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank you so much. Let's get right into it. I sat trying to unpack the complexities of this topic and how to angle the approach, because I think what we've enjoyed in the channel has always been a unique take on things, a different take on things. We are those people. And I thought I'm going to start with the fact that fatherhood is decisional. I think that stems at the genesis of the complexities that come with being abandoned by a dad or being rejected by a dad. Mommies are privileged in the sense that biologically there is assistance from the word go in preparation for their mothering role. It's not something you can ignore. It's not something you have to guess. It's not something you have to estimate. There is necessary change that is necessitated by the transformation of prepping for a life. As well as when the baby is here, there is just things that will indicate that your boobs are full, so the baby may be hungry. Your own physical adjustments and your own journey that you spent with them in utero kind of tells you their patterns already. You kind of know if they were up around midnight, and those patterns typically tend to continue postpartum as well. So I don't want to say there's a bit of a heads up about it. You mommies are the first people to receive the news of the existence of a life that is on the way, and dads rely on being informed. And in there lies the journey of fatherhood, that you need to make a choice. You need to decide you're going to be dad. With mom, there is waking up to the reality that there's somebody in my tummy, and you've got 9 months living with them, getting along with one another. You as the dad, there is literally nothing that has changed physically in your life, and any change that you lend to this new change is decisional. Fathering is a decisional act of responsibility and integrity, because you have to decide, as much as I have not met this person, I don't even have evidence of the existence of this person, I am making the choice to love them. You can opt out of it. They're not going to jump out of the stomach and follow you. There's literally nothing that would bind you if you make the contrary decision. But it is a decision that dads need to make. What then happens if a dad does not make that decision? Remember, being fathered is your first ever experience with being chosen unconditionally, because there is no condition attached to it. You know, they can't validate paternity just yet. They haven't even seen you. You are kind of just news, you know. And that is the first time most of us were chosen. Somebody chose to honor the anticipation of you. Somebody chose to love you. Somebody chose to prepare the world for your arrival. Somebody chose to protect the person that is incubating you. Somebody made the decision at the news of your coming into the world that this is what I, as your dad, am going to do. They were not forced. Moms are not forced to carry to term either. But you're kind of already there, you know, in their lives. With a dad, it is 100% decisional. And when the father decides not to play ball, it is also the first time at no doing of the baby at all where somebody did not choose you. It becomes incredibly difficult thereafter to be absolutely certain that you are choosable. If the person that had the largest responsibility to choose you opted out of it, preempting being selected for anything by an employer, by a romantic partner, by whatever, just becomes an unbelievable prospect. Because why would they? Because you think biology necessitates your father choosing you, and if that was not sufficient, why would people choose you socially? They really don't have to. That level of rejection is so primal, so deep, because it's not conditional. There's absolutely no reason. The people that were chosen, they did nothing to be chosen. The people that were not chosen also did nothing not to be chosen. Literally, it's fundamental. It's the existence of you that they rejected. And I don't think there can be anything more gut-wrenching that it's just meanness that was a problem. And it's not true. Decision is an act of responsibility and an act of integrity. It is hardly ever about that which is being chosen. I beg your pardon. It's always a responsibility of the chooser. A dad not playing ball in your life is reflective of their level of integrity, their level of responsibility, their level of honor, their level of commitment. It has absolutely nothing to do with you, especially because you can't even talk. You're not even here. There's truly nothing you could have done to transact any differently to then increase the probability of being chosen. This is something that was exclusively in their hands, and if they chose not to honor that responsibility, it says something about them and their capacity to take a responsibility. And I need people that have experienced that dehumanizing level of abandonment to understand it had nothing to do with you. There was nothing, you didn't even have decision-making capacity. It then makes it completely limiting to then think you can do something to reverse that decision because you did nothing to initiate it to begin with. It puts a person in this transactional game when they think, if I do more of this, maybe they may notice, or if I do less of this. And that sends a mixed relationship in terms of worthiness, that you think it rests on something that you can and cannot do. This is especially true for the fathers that are ambivalent, that are completely absent. They're kind of here and then not here, here and then not here. That you start guessing, what did I do last time that elicited the attention? What did I do that seems to have applied for the rejection? And you're constantly in this guessing game of thinking, if I do more of this, they will come back. If I do less of this, then they will come back. And that sends the wrong message that you think you can bargain and negotiate your worthiness, which is not true. This is something inherent of all human beings. They don't have to do anything to earn it. You are worthy because you are human. You are worthy because you are human by virtue of being a human being. You've got inherent worthiness. This is not dependent on the response of another. This is not dependent on the validation of another. You're incredibly blessed and lucky if the people around you choose to play party and validate your worthiness to you, but it's definitely not a necessity. Therefore, when they do not, it doesn't cancel it. This is not something cancelable. You're brilliant and worthy and honorable. You deserve to exist. That's why you exist. And they had an option and they made their pick. They had the option. They did the rejection. They the ones that walk out. They. It is them. It is them who made the action that has resulted into this current situation. They took an action. They took an action. They took an action. You did nothing to make your dad not participate. You did nothing. It's not that you are unlovable. Don't believe the lie that you are unwanted. Humanity is so complicated. They have a multitude of reasons as to why they're making the decision that they're making. And none of those reasons are at any given stage reflective of anything that has to do with you. They've got their own addictions. They've got their own responsibility issues. Maybe they're unwilling. Maybe they don't want to. Whatever. It's reasons that they consider good enough to not honor you like you deserve. Please do not enter into the bottomless hole of trying to figure out those decisions. If they want to let you know, I believe they know where to find you. It's a choice they made. It affects so much of how we organize reality and what we expect of the world, because the very first ever expectation was not met. It becomes very difficult to think you're special thereafter. And because of the relational complications that tend to take place when one parent doesn't participate between the parental system, you're not even old and already you're entering in the middle of a conflict. It's just not a nice message internally. It makes one feel like they're an inconvenience between these two people. But more so, it leaves you with aspects of you that you cannot locate. There is nothing that makes you embedded in your self-image and esteem than understanding where your features come from. Now imagine you're just stuck with big eyes that you can't locate because there is no person here that's got big eyes. And then you start with the hating of features that, although you want to let go of them because they didn't choose you, there's a level of letting go you can't achieve because of the genetics that exist within you. It's like you are forced without your consent to carry them when they are refusing to carry you. And then you are left with attributes you don't know how to integrate into a self-love narrative, because those parts are difficult to love because they come from a person whose actions suggest they don't love you. It's a complex relationship with your looks. It's a complex relationship with your body. It's a complex relationship with your being, because you don't know how to just isolate to the parent that loves you. Umkhuphe completely because akakhupheki. So you forever kind of want to bind to them because you are bound to them. But then the binding needs their participation and cooperation, and they're not playing ball. And also dads are normally physically stronger and bigger. They are your first fantasy of you are tiny, they are big, and therefore the big bad boogeyman that is the outside world will not get to you. Ingathi bakusithile. Every little child thinks their dad is a superhero that can do anything. And this fantasy doesn't really change. Imagine if you feel like whatever threat exists out there, there's no buffer that protects you. You constantly feel exposed to threat. Because there's something about healthy masculinity that feels protective. Ingathi babhesa ngcono bantu abangotata, to chase the bed away. Obviously not true, but when you're a child, that's just what it feels like. And it's like they decided you're not worth the protection. And that if bad stuff is likely to happen, you're at its mercy. It feels unfair. It feels painful. But you did nothing wrong. Fatherhood is decisional. It is the father's decision to take that responsibility. It's an act of honor, commitment, and responsibility. And if those attributes are missing in the person that fathered you, they're unlikely to make the decision, but that's them. It's a dominant narrative because it was a first ever encounter with reality. But I hope as you grow older, you realize that you can semblance alternative stories for yourself. They're not going to make this dominant one go away, but they are going to reduce its impact. As much as we have linked fatherhood to biology, because there's actually nothing that links dad and you by bringing you to life, there's also this unique gift that makes fatherhood a social process, not a biological one. Even the people that live with us in the house, we believe they are our parents because of their social and behavioral acts. None of us have taken our dads for a DNA test. So actually we don't have evidence of the biology, meaning it's above and beyond the biology that we believe we are fathered. It is in action. And the beauty of action is that it can be obtained from anywhere else. Therefore, you can make yourself accessible to healthy fathering, irrespective of the biology that exists between you and that person. Same goes for mommies where the dads aren't there. The act of fathering is behavioral. It tends to happen with the person that fathered them biologically, but believe me, the child never has evidence of that. No mother that I know has produced paper to their children to say, this is your dad. So kahle kahle, we don't know. My dad is my dad because he has dadded me or fathered me, whatever the right English is. And if he has fathered me and it one day turns out that the biology is in there, that's my dad. Because that is the only daddy that has done the dad stuff for me. You can get dad experiences. That's what actually makes a dad. It's normally assigned to the person responsible for the paternity, but believe me, it's behavioral, not biological. This is why you cannot relate to a dad as a dad just because of a biological link if they did not father you. They kind of just feel like a stranger until they build a father relationship with you, and only then you relate to them as a dad. And if you've gotten much older and you didn't have this influence, the beauty of being an adult is releasing parents from the responsibility to parent you by taking over the reins of reparenting. You know what you needed. You can begin a process of giving it to yourself. Mentorship, psychotherapy, being a good parent to you, whatever fathering looks like for you, you can start the repair process of being the dad that you needed. And if you are the mom that the dad of your little one walked out on them, you can try, because remember, them coming back is completely outside of your hands. It can just be fantasy, but there's nothing you can do to bring them back simply because there's nothing you did to chase them away in the first place. But what is within your control is to semblance healthy masculine experiences that are consistent and predictable for your child so they feel fathered. Then the absence of a biological parent can just be knowledge. Not pleasant knowledge, but it can just be knowledge. It doesn't have to be an experience they are constantly exposed to and living every day. And if you are the dad that you know you are not playing party to raising your little ones, whatever was responsible for the initial decision cannot be reversed now. But the continued act of abandonance is a daily choice you are making. Every day. You can't change the past, but character is telling of how you try and repair. They don't owe you forgiveness, but it is in your hands to try. And continuing not to try because you're holding yourself prison to that earlier choice you took, that's a new choice altogether. And if you make it tomorrow, that's a new choice. It means you continue to make the choice to be absent in your child's life. I hope you forgive yourself for the initial choice, but if you continue to do so, that's a new choice, and you're responsible for that. And I hope the video has done a bit to illustrate the implications of your absence. It is felt, it is deep, it is damaging. And if you are still alive, it's completely unnecessary. No justification should ever be good enough. Not conflict, not absence of money, not time that has lapsed. You should send the message to your children that there is absolutely nothing in this world that would stand between you and fathering them. They deserve it. Anyway, this issue is very complex. I don't think we can cover it in its entirety. Hence, I just picked the angle of decisionality, and over time we'll unpack different attributes of it. I'm hoping to rope in a friend of mine that can come and do fatherless sons with us, and we'll start playing with the gender differences of absent dads, because the implications tend to be different with boys than they are with girls. And we will see what the recommendations you're dropping in the comment section are, but it's a difficult conversation that we must start to have overtly and honestly. I'm sorry if you personally relate. You really didn't deserve it. But it's not you. I promise you it's not you. I'll see you Tuesday.